crews can make changes on the cars because, again, Robbie, the unknown of the conditions, it was all a gamble, but you can change it on a pit stop.
Also in this battle is Alex Tagliani. And behind him, Vitor Mira and Elio Castro-Neves.
And Tag's right back there. You know, he said his car was a little bit loose in qualifying, and he thought the conditions would only make the car looser tonight. So they really were thinking about how they're going to set their car up to be comfortable for a good race car.
Since the restart, this is the guy that has been on the move. Ryan Hunter-Reay has moved up to 15th position after he started at the tail when he spun during the Sato crash.
He had to lift there and go for a gear change. Now, the fastest lap for Hunter-Reay, check that out, 4.3 lateral Gs and 74% over 1G. If you remember from the stats back from Chicagoland, that was 71%, so another 3%. You say, how can that be? It's because the whole front straightaway, that whole tri-oval, you're over 1G, which is about as hard as you can corner in a street car.
Guys, Tony Kanaan started out 26th. He's in 14th. His teammate, Ryan Hunter-Reay, 27th. He's up to 15th, so 12 apiece. Now they're together, going to try and work together. But you remember last week, Tony Kanaan talked about just how difficult it was with the drivers in front and around him. I asked him, I said, give me that Kanaan nugget only you can give me. He said, Robbie, I had a tough time this week. This week, I just hope to survive. We don't say good luck. We just say be safe. And he's just trying to survive out there right now.
I talked with Tony yesterday after the final practice. What's the key to this place? He said patience. So how do you size that up? But what he was talking about is patience in terms of working together. So if Ryan Hunter-Reay can get up with them, they can work together. Not run side by side. Have the cars run nose to tail. Work together. So that was the kind of patience that Tony said was the key to success here.
Paul Tracy, we talked to him in our pre-race show. He is currently running in 20th position, driving for Dreyer and Reinbold. And Paul Tracy is not known as a driver who exhibits a lot of patience, but looks like he is right now.
I think, you know, he had a little bit of a conservative plan. He hasn't been on a super speedway in a while, right. So he just wants to gain confidence in that race car. Again, his focus is to get to the end of this race. Make adjustments as you go through the race, see what the sway bars do, see what the weight jacker does. The guys will make some adjustment with tire pressures when they make pit stops. He's shooting for that last pit stop and finish strong. Good battle for third here as Scott Dixon is to the outside of Will Power.
Whoa. Wow. He gave Dixon got run up the track just a bit because Power couldn't hold it down.
And
you want an idea of what happens with bumps and aerodynamic wash when you look off the back wing and you see these cars dancing around? Every one of those little dances is counteracted by a little move with the wheel.
Behind Scott Dixon is Ryan Briscoe, and sixth is Marco Andretti. Stay with us for more here from Kentucky Speedway. You'll see all the action non-stop here on Versus.
If you know passion, you know my name. If the roar of a race car gives you goosebumps. If you believe that no one ever remembers who comes in second. If you're into checkered flags, chugging milk, burning rubber, you know my name. If you've ever pressed your nose to a chain link fence to get a closer look, if you own a pair of earplugs, if you know Andretti, Rahal, and Unser, you know my name. You know my name because I've been here from the very beginning. As vital today as I was over 100 years ago. 100 miles to go. I am a powerhouse. I am running wide open with no finish line in sight. I am the fire that never goes out. You know my name. I am then, I am now, I am forever. I am Firestone, and I am proud.
Feel the excitement? That's peak performance, and it's electric.
Look out. Be sure everybody's safe with the new Peak backup camera system. With the Peak Jump Starter, you don't need another car to jump your dead battery, so there's no waiting. And the fun never stops with the Peak Power Inverter. It instantly converts your car's battery power to household power. Great as a mobile office or for tailgating.
Inside, outside, all around your car. When you peak, you win.
At Mothers, we come up with innovative solutions to common car care problems, like yellow clouded headlights. They're unsightly, and the reduced light output is a serious safety concern. Mother's Powerball for Lights is a revolutionary product. Restoring headlight clarity may seem complicated, but it's not. Powerball for Lights is quick, inexpensive, and easy to use, even on severely damaged headlights. Restore, maintain, and protect. Mother's Powerball for Lights Headlight Restoration Kit.
College football continues on Versus. We know what you Mountain West fans want. Want to know if the Rebels can hold off the Badgers in a showdown under the lights in Las Vegas? Or will 12th-rated Wisconsin flex its Big Ten muscle? Wisconsin at UNLV next. Only on Versus, we know the Mountain West. On board with Ed Carpenter, who is in second place, just a few car lengths behind his teammate, Dan Weldon, who is the leader of this event. And third place continues to be hotly contested. Will Power and Scott Dixon go side by side.
And I'm just amazed by these shots off of Power looking at Dixon. Just the movement we see. Of all the super speedways I go to, I can't remember seeing all that little movement that we're seeing when you look over at Dixon's car just around this place. Just the bumps setting that off.
Behind that two-car battle is Marco Andretti, also Ryan Briscoe. Bertrand Baguette is battling with Dario Franchitti for position. Jack?
Yeah, Bob, I've been tracking the temperature, and right now it is beginning to drop. It is at 66 degrees. They are calling for, by the end of the race, to drop as low as the mid-50s. Now, remember, these cars practice, the two practice sessions and qualifying, the average temperature back then was between 72 and 73 degrees. Yeah, that has got to have an effect on the setups on these cars.
It does, Jack. Anytime that the air gets cooler, it gets more dense, and that means more downforce, more power, but also more fuel. So they have to make all those adjustments. And when you talk about more fuel, when Viso comes in, that, you know what, they don't seem like they are.
His right rear.
Oh, yeah,
it's
he's
glowing.
Glowing
back.
Right rear rotor.
And you talk about that, the cool air. I mean, another thing it keeps affecting is the center of pressure in these cars. They're so affected. Just that sensitive balance in that car is that cool air shifts the center of pressure to either have the front bite more or the rear bite more. And that's how you're always fighting that balance as the conditions get cooler.
All right, while they work on E.J. Viso's car on pit lane, we go back and check on the action on the racetrack. Sort of a single file formation right now, but, well, you got to give a call to Marco Andretti. I watched him in final practice last night, and again, just as it was the case at Chicagoland, he liked that high line. He's used it tonight to get to where he is.
Well, I think part of the success of just with the speed we're seeing from the Andretti Autosports cars, Ryan Hunter-Reay, Kanaan, Marco, is they tested here a couple weeks ago, and that knowledge is worth a bunch in terms of giving yourself a happy race car.
But for Dario Franchitti, though, as we've got a side-by-side with Marco now, Mira going down on the low side. You know, Dario Franchitti, we talked about patience, we talked about working through the car and making changes, and Briscoe is going backwards.
That sure is.
I think it was just a function of just a washout coming off before and dumping the throttle, and then this guy slingshotting by him.
But that was a big loss of momentum.
Yeah, he's got to speed back, so now he's got to get back up there. So nothing's wrong. He just had to give up some throttle.
Dropped back to 10th place, though. We mentioned the Andretti Autosport drivers. We did not mention the other one, Danica Patrick. She is in 15th.
And Bertrand Baguette still hanging in there very strongly. To finish my point on Franchitti, I think he's been adjusting, and the car is definitely coming to him at the end of the stint. He's gaining fast.
Robbie, we have a shakeup, so to speak, in the pit members at Team Penske.
Yeah, big powwow at Team Penske. You know, after what happened last week, they've actually lost some spots on pit lane, something very characteristic characteristic for Team Penske. So they made some changes, kind of an all-star team, if you will. The inside front comes from